No question. Our next speaker is Dr. K.S. Charak. Dr. K.S. Charak holds an MS Surgery and is a fellow of Royal College of Surgeons, UK, senior consultant and chief general surgery at the Indian Spinal Injury Center, Vasant Kunj. Dr. Charak has been teaching Vedic astrology for the last 30 years at Indian Council of Astrological Sciences in Delhi and practicing it for the last 50 years. He has written several books appreciated all over the world. Dr. K.S. Charak is a highly qualified medicine professional and author of several excellent books on Vedic astrology, especially Vedic medical astrology. He is also the editor of globally circulated Vedic Astrology Journal. Dr. Charak also leads SOSMT, a charitable organization devoted in providing free surgical and medical care to the poor and the ailing in the rural area of India. It's over to Dr. Charak.
Thank you so much. It's a slightly different subject. Medical astrology actually is it's not like any standard branches of astrology in the classics. So what we have done is that we have picked up the principles of astrology which are relevant to the health and disease, and those we have formulated and then we have applied to the patients, and we have dealt this subject to some extent. It concerns itself with the understanding of disease and its various aspects, as its name indicates. Now, we also stick to the definition of disease given by Ayurveda, which says that the body and the mind are the abodes of illness. And in medical astrology also, we deal with the physical ailments as well as the medical ailments. As I said, it's not a defined subject in astrological classics. Classics in astrology, they give you some vague indications about disease. They'll give some combination and say, okay, this is a combination for Kush stroke, or this is a combination for something else. But what we understand from Kush stroke and what the Ayurveda or Vedic astrology mentions about Kush stroke is very different. For example, in the allopathic terms, Kush stroke is leprosy. But in Ayurveda and in the Vedic astrology, it is actually any long-standing, chronic, non-healing sort of an illness which affects the skin or the peripheral nerves. And there are various sorts of push, like the black push and the white push and so on. But the Ayurvedic terms do not consider what we consider as leprosy, which is an infective condition and which is amenable to antibiotics. Now, whatever combinations, whatever yogas, we use the term combination for yoga. So, any planetary disposition in the horoscope is considered as a yoga, and in the English language we term it as astrological combinations. And whatever combinations are there available in the astrological classics, they are not coherent enough to give you an accurate diagnosis. And in fact, more often than not, the patient comes with pain here and it says, oh, I might have a stone in the kidney. So, as far as the astrological diagnosis is concerned or allopathic diagnosis is concerned, we want to be very, very accurate, more specific. So, whatever combinations are available in the classes, they are not very coherent, and we have to do a lot of work in that direction. Whatever disease is ascribed in the astrological classics is described in the Ayurvedic terms. So we don't have any direct translation into the allopathic terms, and It will be a great service if we can actually devise some method of intertranslating Vedic astrology, allopathy and Ayurveda. So that is the aim that we are having, and if we can succeed in that, we can actually be very useful to the patient. In the classical astrological books, there is no description about the allopathic terms or homeopathic terms, and medical astrology I consider as one of the two most important branches of astrology, because there are many other branches, they are dealing with childbirth and they are dealing with the marriage and profession and so on. But I think there are two branches which are very important and useful. One is the muhurta, which means that you choose a suitable moment for doing some work, and you want to have the best effects from that. You know that your horoscope is basically a limitation. You can do only this much and not further. So within those limitations, you want to do the best, and that is the science of muhurta. That is the branch of muhurta in astrology. And the second branch, which can be useful, will be the medical astrology, because there you can help the patient, you can guide the doctor, you can console the relatives of the patient and so on. So this can be one of the most important branches of astrology for almost everybody. Now, what we have done is that since there is no separate section on medical astrology in any of the ancient astrology classics, so we have picked up some certain important concepts. The horoscope has 12 houses, which is actually the depiction of the whole zodiac. So it is basically a depiction of the zodiac with the planets at the time of your birth. So it's basically a still picture of the zodiac at the time of your birth. And the first house is known as the lagna, or the ascendant, or the rising sign. And it is the other name for it in the astrological classics is Tanu Bhav. That is the house which deals with body. So lagna is the body. So that is the first principle that we consider from the horoscope, that the lagna is the body. So if the lagna is strong, the body is strong. If the lagna is weak, the body is weak. If there is something which is bad for body, it is bad for lagna, it is bad for body, therefore bad for health. So, and then we use the term graha rather than the planets, because all these 9 grahas are not planets. Sun and moon are not planets. And we consider also Rahu and Ketu, which are actually the mathematical points, and they are not the planets. So the term is graha, which is the accurate term. We don't have a equivalent term in English, so we are using the term planets actually in a wrong manner, but the two terms we are using interchangeably. So we are using the term planets also. Now, when I say that the grahas or the planets are subservient to the lagna, it means that as the lagna changes, the nature of the planets also changes. We have 12 signs, so there are 12 lagnas, and for each lagna there are some good planets and some bad planets. And whenever the time is such that one lagna changes to the other lagna, then the nature of the different planets also changes. So the best planets, which are like Jupiter and Mercury and Venus, they can also turn bad. And adverse planets or malefic planets like Saturn and Mars, they can also become benefic. So planets are subservient to the lagna. As the lagna changes, the nature of the planets changes, and that is where from we consider how the different planets would exert their influence. We have some standard principles from which we can find out what are the favorable planets for a particular lagna and what are the unfavorable planets for a particular lagna. So if there is an unfavorable planet for the lagna, it is an unfavorable planet for the body, so therefore it is unfavorable for the health. If it is a favorable planet, then it is favorable for the lagna, favorable for the body, and therefore favorable for health. So that is one very important concept. The other important concept is that this whole zodiac of 360 degrees is your body. And the body, human body, is stretched over the zodiac of 360 degrees. There is a story in the Puranas which says that, when Sati committed suicide and Lord Shiva was very angry and he destroyed the yajna, sage Narad asked Pulastya, what happened at that time? So he said, Lord Shiva was there everywhere. So, he destroyed everybody there, he destroyed the yajna, he destroyed the people who were there, and he was visible everywhere. So therefore, Narad asked him, if Lord Shiva was there everywhere, so how were the different body parts of Lord Shiva distributed in the whole zodiac? And then there is a description about where his head was, where his shoulders were, where his legs were, where his stomach was. So the human body is also indicated by the 12 houses, and that is actually an indication of anatomy. From the different houses we can determine about which part of the body will be represented by which particular house of the horoscope, and if that particular house is under a malefic influence, then that area of the body is likely to suffer disease. And these 9 grahas, 9 planets, they have their own inherent nature. So, for example, Mars is an aggressive and bloody planet, so it can cause inflammation. Or Saturn is a planet which is the most slow moving and causes more depression and causes more chronic diseases. So we can actually understand the physiology and pathology from an understanding of the nature of these 9 grahas. And then of course we have subtler divisions of the horoscope, because when you have only 12 signs rising in 24 hours, so each sign would be an average of something like 2 hours or so. So during that time, so many births will take place. So to be accurate with our predictions, we have some subtler divisions of the horoscope, and they allow you to segregate people who are closely bound in time. And then we have a system of dashas which gives you an indication of how to time an event. So for example, all events are there in the horoscope, but they happen at different times depending upon what is the dasha operating. And gochar is another term for transits, which means that, for example, Saturn today is in sign Capricorn, or Jupiter came to Capricorn a day earlier. So that is a gochar. So that also helps us in timing the events. So there are therefore 2 aspects of chart analysis. One is the static aspect, which is dependent on the 12 houses of the horoscope, the various signs. Signs means we call it rashis. So there are 12 signs, 12 houses, there are 27 nakshatras, there are these planets, and there are these divisional charts or subtler divisions. So all these give you an indication of what all is possible in the horoscope. So they give you the promise inherent in the chart. But then everything will not happen in the lifetime of a person, and everything will not happen suddenly at one time. So there is a dynamic aspect also, which depends upon the interplay of dashas and gochar or transits, and that helps us to time the events. And on the basis of what is a benefic planet for the horoscope and what is a malefic planet of the horoscope, when the dasha of a benefic operates, then it is a good time for health. When it is the dasha of a malefic planet, then it is bad time for health. When it is a good transit, it is good for health. When it is a bad transit, it is bad for health. Now, what all can we see from astrology? The most important thing is that you can identify a chart with a healthy or a sickly body. So if you have, standard, if you apply standard principles to a given chart, you can determine whether it is the horoscope of a generally healthy person or a generally unhealthy. For example, if you recall the general health of Rajiv Gandhi, he was a very healthy person to look at, and if you look at his horoscope, you will find that there is a very strong indication that it's a strong lagna, and he will have a very sound health and impressive personality. So therefore, medical astrology can be used to identify first whether it is a generally healthy person or a generally unhealthy person. Ill health will come to everybody, but at least in general, you can determine whether a person has good health or a person has, a sickly sort of constitution. And if you have a horoscope with a sound health, then minor adverse dashas will not cause very significant disturbance in health. But if you have a generally sickly body, then even slight, fluctuations in the dasha, you have slightly bad dasha, and that can disturb health. So when you see for example, in an epidemic, if you see that certain people are equally exposed to the illness, but only some people get the illness, the others don't. So some people have protection in the horoscope, the others don't have. Then an important aspect of medical astrology is to be able to time the onset of an illness. And this is based on an intelligent application of the dasha and transits. And this is a very important aspect. You can actually warn a patient about a future illness. And I have a very interesting story to tell you if you can hear it. I was speaking in Germany once, and one of my students, she went home and told her husband that he was going through a bad period and he should go to the doctor. So he went to the doctor and nothing adverse was found. Then after a couple of months he said, no, you must go to the doctor because your period is not alright. He went again and no problem was found. And another 2 months later, he was diagnosed to have an inoperable cancer of the stomach. So you can actually warn a patient. Now whether the patient can take advantage of it or not, that is dependent on his own destiny, unfortunately, but at least you would have done your work. So this is an aspect where the astrologer is much better placed than a medical man, because medical man may not be able to tell you beforehand whether a disease would come up or what time it will come up. Nature of illness is also another area, but then it's a difficult area for the astrologer, and as medical people we have very sound diagnostic procedures available which are not available to the astrologer, although in astrology also there are many techniques which we can employ, but unfortunately not many doctors study astrology and not many astrologers know medicine. So therefore the application of these principles to the actual diseases is a little difficult area. So this nature of illness, if we can work on this jointly particularly, then we can probably be of a great help to the patient. The next one is the course of illness or the outcome, and of course as doctors, when we see a patient, we generally know what would be the likely outcome of a disease, and in astrology also we can find out fairly accurately what would be the course of disease or any complications arising during the course of illness or its treatment based on the dashas. For example, if you have a bad dasha which is causing the illness and it is followed by a good dasha, so then there is going to be an improvement. And if there is a bad dasha followed by another bad dasha followed by another bad dasha, so then the disease gets either prolonged or it becomes incurable or even it can lead to death. So we have developed methods in astrology where we can to a large extent determine the course of illness, and of course medical people can also do that, there is no problem there. We can also indicate the best method of treatment, whether it should be conservative, it should be surgical, palliative, and if nothing helps, at least the astrological remedies can be done. We can also find out the residual effects of disease. There are methods of determining longevity, although it's a difficult subject, but longevity can also be worked out according to astrology. Nature of death, there are indications in the classics. We have done some work on astrology and genetics, where the moon is the link, and there are some common factors between the parent and the child or amongst the siblings. And then finally we can also suggest some astrological remedies, but then I have a note here that astrological remedies do not negate the relevance of standard, well-established, scientifically proved, generally allopathic treatment. We are generally following allopathic treatment, which is more prevalent all over the world. And if your patient has appendicitis, we must advise surgery. If you want to advise astrological remedy also from some mantra or some puja, go ahead with that, but at least don't deny the patient the benefit of a scientifically established treatment. What do we need to do? We need to do a deeper study of Vedic astrology, and we need to have a better understanding of astrological classes. There is a lot of material in the astrological classes which we have not deciphered and which we apply, and we have to remain within the limits of the classes, but we have to change them to some extent according to our present circumstances. So in situations where some modifications need to be done, those also have to be applied. And there, astrologers must have at least an elementary understanding of disease, and it is better if doctors also start studying astrology. And the best method is that the way we have progressed in allopathy, we have dermatopsies, we have worked on patients who have had disease and who have died and so on, and we have understood the pathology. Similarly, we need to have the horoscopes, we need to apply the principles of astrology to the charts of patients with known ailments, and then derive inferences, conclusions, and then apply those principles to the unknown charts, and that is how we can progress. And then we need to, of course, there is a need to continue refining the techniques. There is a need for sharing the data. You see, in astrology particularly, there is a lot of you don't reveal your secrets, you keep them to yourself. In medicine, we have progressed only because we have shared the knowledge and information. So in astrology also, we need to share the data, share the findings, and there are many techniques which we are not using, standard techniques, but they are less often used, as if we have to, for example, for a stone, we just don't do the X-ray, we do the ultrasound also, we do a IVP also, we do a CT scan also, and sometimes we go beyond that also. So similarly, in medical astrology, astrology is a difficult subject, medicine is a difficult subject, so therefore we have to employ all the finer techniques also to the charts, and then be able to help the patient. And of course, constant touch with the medical profession for the people who are not into medicine and only into astrology. So that is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I want to ask two questions.
Please.
One is that when you see the charts, are these probabilities? Is there percentages? Are there probabilities of whatever disease, or this is like 100% this, 100% that? Are these probabilities in the chart?
Astrology, medical astrology is, and in fact all astrology, is very much like a clinical diagnosis. After almost 45 years in surgery, I still say, oh, this looks like appendicitis. Okay, so that is there also in astrology also. But there are indications where you can say, you see, we are bad at diagnosis, as I told you. But there are situations where you can fairly easily say, okay, this is a situation which is very serious, and probably there will be no recovery. Or this is a situation which is comfortable and things will be alright. And then there are certain areas where we do make diagnosis and we are alright. But you see, there are so many parameters that we have to take into account that being very certain that happens only in limited situations. So we need to do a lot of work.
Okay. The other question is, can there be, whatever you are looking, since you have the experience and you are looking at the chart, can there be divine interventions and correction by our good karmas? Because obviously this is a screenshot when we are born, right? These are our grahas, it's a screenshot, right? So while during the life you're trying to do good karmas, can you erase them so the probability goes low? And can there be divine intervention?
You see, we are born with a certain amount of karma which we have to go through in this particular life. So some of us have a good balance of past karma where we recover quickly. Some of us are not having that good balance, and therefore problems are difficult to deal with. But then there is also an element of your free will, the karma that you can use. So for example, you have only limitations. For example, you are already facing a karma which needs a force to neutralize and which you probably don't have today. So therefore you will not be able to neutralize the whole karma. That indication also comes in the house. But the role of free karma, free will is always there. So that is not to be denied, because if that is to be denied, then there is no fun in going for treatment even. So the role of free will is there. So there is an element of, there is a scope in the horoscope also. You can only go this far and no further. So there are certain situations which are irremediable, and there are certain situations which can be tackled with good karma, appropriate karma.
So like they say, no, divine blessings or guru's blessings, or people go miles to see some siddhas and all these for their blessings. So is there divine interventions also? Can you see negation of the charts? Their faith is so strong.
There are some indications where you can almost say that, well, there is some divine help also there. Blessings, they do help. I am sure that is my personal view, that is not the astrological thing, but I am sure blessings do have a lot of role, because they are also a sort of karma, and they are also a sort of positive karma. But then how much they can neutralize your bad karma, that depends on the bad karma load that you are carrying.
Well, they sometimes, inverted brackets, call it kripa.
But that can probably reduce the suffering.
Yes.
But it may not totally destroy the karma.
Dr. Charak, you talked of two important areas of Vedic astrology. One is the Mahurat and the timing, and the other is medical astrology. To time the surgery. And my friends in Maulana Azad and Harding and all across, even in private, tell ki even in elective cesarean sections for the child, people are asking for the Mahurat to do the surgery. So this is a combination of Mahurat as well as the medical astrology. What are your thoughts about that?
See, we have reached a particular stature, whether it is social or otherwise, by using our knowledge. So we have used our knowledge. If we have reached a particular stage in medicine or some excellence in medicine and surgery, we have used our knowledge. So there is no harm in using the knowledge. But I recall an incident where one of my seniors, her daughter was undergoing a cesarean, so she said, can you go and help the gynecologist? So I went, and she was getting a gynae in a particular nursing home. So she sent me, so I went there. Unfortunately, what happened was that the lights went off and the generator didn't work, and the whole thing became normal only after 1.5 hours. And after that we did the cesarean section. This child had a cleft palate. Now, the horoscope that we made, that showed the Balarist or a combination of illness at that time. Now, if the cesarean section would have been done 1.5 hours earlier, this horoscope would have been different, and therefore, probably the situation would not have been like that. But because the problem was there, so we got delayed out. So, you can try to use the astrological principles to your benefit. How much you will succeed, that is a different situation.
But they say you shouldn't interfere, like they do it in obstetrics, where I used to practice. They say you shouldn't interfere, especially with birth, because, you know, by using this.
See, sometimes probably you will not.
Thank you, Dr. Charan.
Thank you.
So we are end of this session. Yeah, so next, first we'll do the honors.
Yes.
Anu, I must just give the honors to the speakers of this session.
Look this way.
Dr. K.S. Charak.
And Sushruta.
Anoop as well.
New shop ढक गया.
Dr. N.K. Gupta.